Hey there, TV fans. We are back with a brand new episode of FYC. We are covering the Emmys this year. There's a lot to talk about with the Emmys. The nominations are closing fast, about a month away on July 15th. The Emmys themselves will take place on September 14th. We are very, very excited to be covering. So far we've covered actor and actress in a drama series, actor and actress in a comedy series, and now with this brand new episode of FYC, we are covering actor and actress in a limited series, TV, movie, and so on and so on. Joining me as always, the amazing Perri Nemiroff. There she is right there. And the mighty theinsnyder.com. There he is right there. And of course, me, Scott Vance. So without further ado, so amazing Perri Nemiroff, what is your take overall on the field for limited series actor and actress?
Overall, it's wonderful. There's lots of great options, lots of people I'm excited about. I feel like there's 3 in particular I'm going to be rooting pretty heavily for in the category we're about to cover, and they might just happen to be my top 3.
Well, you know, when we were covering drama series and comedy series, actor and actress, my feeling was there were like 4 or 5, maybe 6 super strong contenders. And then it was like, well, this person could get nominated, that person could get nominated. I feel like that number 5 to 6 has dropped to like 3 or 4 for limited series, TV, movie, and so on and so on. Jeff, what's your take on the field for lead actor and lead actress in a limited series?
I think it's a pretty deep year for actor, at least. I think there's like 12 or 13 guys who it's like, if one of them got an Emmy nomination, I'd be totally fine with it. On the actress side, I think it's a little bit thinner. It looks like maybe there's 3 or 4 strong contenders, and then it's a little bit tougher to find. But, you know, it's also about your taste in television. So, you know, I'm obviously just watching probably more male-heavy shows.
Well, just want to give a big shout out to the pink. Jeff Snyder wearing pink today on FYC. Any guy who could wear pink, it's all right in my book. All right, Perri, so let's start with you. Who's your number 1 pick for, yes, the lead actor in a limited series?
I'm very happy with my number 1 and my number 2 pick. Admittedly, I flip-flop back and forth a good deal. I'm going to spoil my number 2 pick because there's no way to explain my number 1 without including him. I'm going Colin Farrell for the Penguin as number 1. Stephen Graham is my number 2 for Adolescence, and I know a lot of lists have him at number 1, and I can very much understand why, but I do think because of his involvement behind the scenes, he's going to get honored elsewhere, and that might give Colin Farrell the advantage here. But I kind of do think that this category is coming down to the 2 of them.
I think that's a very, very fair assessment. Either one of 2 things are going to happen here. Either Stephen Graham's involvement as an executive producer in Adolescence is going to push him for lead actor in a limited series and boost his chances there. Or like Perri, you pointed out, because he is an executive producer and the show will probably win for best limited series, that Colin Farrell would win for best actor and for the Penguin. So it could go either way. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, 50-50. Take your pick. Jeff, who's your pick for number 1 and number 2?
I'm going with Stephen Graham at number 1.
All right. Yeah.
And I've got Colin at number 2. And listen, I don't feel super confident about it, mainly because of screen time. I mean, Stephen Graham's in 2 of the 4 episodes. That's really all we're talking about compared to Colin Farrell, who is so great across the entire Penguin series. I mean, the prosthetics, I think, you know, they do a lot of heavy lifting for Colin. He's obviously amazing in that role as Oz. But I don't know. I just feel like Adolescence was watched by more people, and Colin's a bigger star. Like, you know, he's got everything. Like Stephen Graham, this is a once in a lifetime performance. That's why I think that Emmy voters are going to be hard pressed to ignore it, and that they will ultimately reward him. He is devastating in that last episode.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you're right, Jeff. You know, he's really in 2 of the 4 episodes. But hey, the category is limited, so maybe, you know, that won't make a difference. But as far as Colin Farrell, what he brings to the table, he is already a SAG Award winner for the Penguin. He's also a Golden Globe winner for the Penguin, as well as Banshees of Inisherin and In Bruges. Remember that movie from 2008? Love that movie. And he is an Oscar nominee for the Banshees of Inisherin. So he's got some hardware already for the Penguin. But here's the thing. So when Colin Farrell won the Golden Globe and the SAG Award for the Penguin back in January, and I think the SAGs were in February, Adolescence hadn't even dropped yet on Netflix. That dropped in March. So on one hand, you could argue, oh, well, Colin Farrell already won all the stuff and Adolescence didn't, but Adolescence hadn't really been seen by anyone, at least not.
This is their first time head-to-head, really.
Right, exactly. This is their first time head-to-head, so that's going to be very, very interesting to watch. So we know what our number 1 and 2 picks are. Colin Farrell for the Penguins, Stephen Graham for Adolescence. Jeff, you have the order flipped, but still, I think it goes without saying that those two are the big ones here. So Perri Nemiroff, who does number 3 work for?
So I do think here's where things start to get a little messy, and we could flip-flop the order in a variety of ways. So I am letting my heart win out, but I also do think this individual has a very good chance of getting a nomination. It's Paul Giamatti for Black Mirror. I thought that that episode was you'll hear this a lot as we continue to do FYC through Emmy season. I really loved this season of Black Mirror. And in particular, I loved his episode Eulogy. And I mean, that right there is a performance showcase episode. He's got quite a few monologues where, I mean, it's not just delivering information in, a way to convey the basics, but he basically has to make you feel what his character was feeling back in the day and support the visual tactic that they use to fill in his memory. And I thought he did such a beautiful job of putting us in his headspace. So I would really like to see him get this nomination, and I think he will.
Okay, Jeff, where is Paul Giamatti for Black Mirror on your list?
I have him in the honorable mentions. I'm just not that confident in Black Mirror's Emmy chances this year. I liked Giamatti's performance, but Eulogy wasn't really one of my favorite episodes. I mean, it was emotional. It struck a chord at the end, but I don't know. I kind of lean towards Chris O'Dowd when I'm, thinking of Black Mirror performances this year. I thought he was great. You just felt his desperation. So I don't have either one of them making the cut. That's how competitive I think this category is. By the way, and Scott, real quickly, did you have Stephen Graham or Colin Farrell at number 1?
I have Colin Farrell at number 1.
So you guys both had Colin at number 1. Okay.
Yeah. So Jeff, I agree with you. I have Paul Giamatti in my honorable mentions, and Chris O'Dowd as well. That's interesting. We both picked the same ones here. But he's great in Black Mirror, but it's one episode, and
yeah.
It's almost like I think he's fantastic. Paul Giamatti, he's an Emmy winner for John Adams, and he's a 2-time Oscar nominee for The Holdovers. And he was, remember that movie Cinderella Man, directed by Ron Howard with Russell Crowe? He was nominated for supporting actor for that.
Great.
Yes.
Just to throw this out there with Black Mirror.
Yep.
So when we're talking about Adolescence, we're like, he's only in, X amount of minutes of this whole thing. Black Mirror, they can kind of, have their cake and eat it too in that sense, because Black Mirror is a show that is designed for an actor to only appear in one episode.
It's a show, right?
And in that particular case, does it not then make it easier for Emmy voters to be like, well, I'll watch this one episode that he's likely going to get nominated for, but I'm not going to watch this whole limited series. So I don't know. I'm just tossing out ideas why some of the Black Mirror actors might rise up and be heavier on voters' minds.
Very, very possible, Perri. Right now I'm still leaning towards Paul Giamatti in my honorable mention. That could change certainly when we do our final round of predictions in about a month, or it could change before the end of this episode. So hold that thought, Perri Nemiroff. Jeff, who's your number 3?
I got to go Cooper Koch from Monsters. I think he was probably the standout among the two of them. I mean, they were both great, and I'm sure we'll talk about Nicholas as well. But I've got to give Cooper the edge, and I do think he's pretty locked in for that third slot at this point.
Well, since we're talking about Monsters, which is the Menendez story on Netflix, and you brought up Nicholas Alexander Chavez, I mean, does he make the cut too? Do you have 2 actors from Monster in your top 5?
I do.
All right.
I have Nicholas at number 4. So I don't really see how you nominate one without the other. They are the Menendez brothers. It seems like a package deal. They're very different performances, very different characters. But I think that if you were a fan of Monsters, it's hard to be a fan of one of these guys and not the other. So I do have both of them getting in. And I think that Emmys are looking for some young blood, right? I mean, everyone else on my list is like De Niro and Colin Firth and like Oscar winners. But I think Emmy is going to lean towards the young guns.
Okay, so I too have Cooper Koch and Nicholas Alexander Chavez in my top 5. I agree. You know, how do you nominate one without the other? They were both great, and I think the fact that this series put the actual trial for the actual Menendez brothers back in the news is a testament not only to the impact of the show, but impact of their performances. I know that's a line that's blurred, and it's like, well, this is news, this is a TV series, but I think that they were great. So I too have them both in my top 5. Perri, do you have either one of them or both in your top 5?
I have one of them. I have Cooper Koch at my number 4.
Okay.
I feel like because of the crop of shows that we're discussing, something about Monsters at this point feels a little like old news compared to the newer titles that are taking a lot of the spotlight right now. And, you know, even on the promotional circuit, and granted, they did a lot of legwork for other award shows earlier on in the process, so that might be why, but I'm just not hearing as much from them as I am from other shows and other actors and, you know, other producers and all that good stuff. So I do see a world, especially because this is a really competitive race in this category. I do see a world where only one or the other gets in, and I'll give the edge to Cooper in that respect. But, you know,
you're right.
Pretty up in my honorable mention. So I'm not going to discount the possibility that they both get in. But personally, right now, I'm leaning towards just one.
Let me ask you this. Is it possible that these guys split the vote and neither one gets in?
I was just going to
say, I think that's a totally real possibility also.
If that happens, then I think that it's a foregone conclusion that Paul Giamatti would make the cut. It's a really interesting dynamic because of that. Because when you look at a show over in comedy series like Only Murders in the Building, you know, it's the same sort of thing. How do you nominate Martin Short and not nominate Steve Martin? But that did happen, I think, in either the second season or the third season. You know, Martin Short got nominated, but Steve Martin didn't. So, but obviously this is a very, very, very different show here with Monsters. But again, I just think that the scope of the exposure for Monsters surpassed just the entertainment value of the Netflix series, because it was actually in the news, and it stayed in the news because they keep going back and forth about whether or not to, you know, give them probation or whatever. But anyway, I'm keeping both of them in my top 5 for now. My number 3, which we haven't gotten to yet, I'm going to throw out an actor who I think is one of the very best actors of the last like 20 or so years, an actor who I think should have been nominated for an Academy Award more than just once for Brokeback Mountain. Of course, I'm talking about Jake Gyllenhaal for Presumed Innocent, a show that really surprised me in a lot of ways, not just because I thought, oh, well, I read the book back in the 80s and I loved the movie with Harrison Ford and Bonnie Bedelia. And I just thought, like, oh, they're making a miniseries? Like, come on, we already know how it goes. But they did an excellent job of making every episode super intense with stellar performances across the board. Of course, Peter Sarsgaard's another one who's great in that show. But yes, I thought Jake Gyllenhaal should have been nominated for Nightcrawlers, which is an awesome movie. Anyway, Jake Gyllenhaal is my number 3 Emmy nominee contender for limited series. Do either of you have Jake on your list? I'm guessing no.
I don't, but I considered.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm the number 1 Jake Gyllenhaal fanboy. He should have been nominated for a lot more than Nightcrawler. He should have been nominated for Stronger, for Prisoners. Give this guy a nomination every time he takes the field. I do have him at number 5. I think it's a toss-up between him and another Apple star. and that would be Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Who I thought was tremendous in Disclaimer and just terrifying. But I had to give the edge to my boy Jake. And just real quickly on the monsters note, the reason I think both will get in, I just see Emmy voters responding to these kinds of shows, whether it's Darren Criss on Versace or Evan Peters as Dahmer or American Crime Story. I just think voters love, that whole sort of brand of murder.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like American Horror Story, thing seems to work. Remember the OJ trial? I mean, that was that really.
That was my rationale for that. But as far as Gyllenhaal goes, I have him just edging out Kevin Kline, who's my top honorable mention over the Black Mirror guys.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, Jake Gyllenhaal should have been nominated for Jarhead. And Jeff, I agree with you about Prisoners. That movie, directed by Denis Villeneuve, that was the first Denis Villeneuve movie I ever saw. I think it was a TIFF in 2013. I was like, my God, who is this guy? Gyllenhaal was great. Hugh Jackman was great. Anyway, okay. But Perri, any other honorable mentions that you think could here?
Yeah. We haven't hit my number 5.
Take it away.
I think there's a third Apple TV actor in the mix. And again, this might be me going with my heart over my head, but I do think one of the 3 Apple TV actors are going to get in. And this might be the one that I'm rooting for most because I like Jake Gyllenhaal and everything also, but I love Brian Tyree Henry in everything he does. I love his energy, love his vibe. I want to see him recognized in this industry the way he deserves to be. So right now I've gone with Brian Tyree Henry for my number 5 for Dope Thief.
Okay, Brian Tyree Henry is in my number 2 honorable mention. I agree with you, Perri. He's great in everything he does. Brian Tyree Henry is an Oscar nominee for Causeway. He should have been an Oscar nominee this past year for the movie The Fire Inside with Ryan Destiny. That movie was fantastic. It got released in December, right in the thick of the holidays, right in the thick of Oscar season, and it got totally steamrolled over by the competition. But that movie is excellent. Excellent film. I think it's streaming for rent right now, but The Fire Inside, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not seen this movie, it is just fantastic and a diamond in the rough this past Oscar season. Jeff, Brian Tyree Henry, I mean, you talked about Kevin Kline for the Apple series Disclaimer. What about Brian Tyree Henry for the Apple series Dope Thief?
No, I watched all of Dope Thief. I just didn't really think of it as an Emmy show. I thought he was good. Wagner was good with him. But yeah, I have him a little bit lower on the honorable mentions list. There's also De Niro, like I said, in 0 Day, Colin Firth from Lockerbie. Jacob Elordi has that show on Amazon that looked fantastic that nobody watched.
Yeah.
You've got movies like Steve Carell in Mountainhead and Aaron Pierre in Rebel Ridge. Keep an eye on Aaron Pierre. He's a threat. And then the one guy I wanted to shout out is someone who I really doubted his casting when it was first announced. I thought he was way too small. I could not see the casting at all. But Josh Andres Rivera, who played Aaron Hernandez in the FX series American Sports Story, that guy was incredible.
What about you, Perri? Anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we move on to supporting Best Actress?
Another one that I'm always rooting for and I think deserves everything and then some is Aaron Pierre. And I'm with Jeff on him. Watch a little sneak attack from him. I wouldn't be surprised if of all the people who are higher up on my honorable mention list, if he climbed the ladder the fastest and wound up having a real chance of getting this nomination.
Well, for the purpose of this conversation, I really feel strongly that Jake Gyllenhaal makes the cut for Presumed Innocent, and I'm still leaning towards both actors from Monsters getting in for the reasons we discussed. Look, Perri, I love Black Mirror as a show. Off camera, we were talking about the Twilight Zone after Jeff Snyder broke the news that the Twilight Zone is coming back as a movie directed by Ben Stiller. It's about goddamn time. I friggin' love the Twilight Zone. Black Mirror is our generation's Twilight Zone. And it's equally good for completely different reasons. So I think just for the sake of the choices that we are unanimous on and choices for our best 2 out of 3, the predictions for this round of Best Actor in a limited series are Colin Farrell for The Penguin, Stephen Graham for Adolescence, Jake Gyllenhaal for Presumed Innocent, and Cooper Koch and Nicholas Alexander Chavez for Monsters, the Mendez brothers. Okay, Before we move on to Best Actress, just want to give a shout out. Make sure, since you are watching this show, FYC, in Perri Nemiroff's YouTube channel, well, you got to do your due diligence and subscribe. So just scroll down while we have you. We'll take a beat here. Scroll down just right now. See where it says subscribe. See, no, a little bit further down. No, you went too fast. Scroll back up. There it is. Hit the subscribe button for Perri's channel. Come on, Perri. I'm trying to give you a boost here. And then, of course, also because Jeff Sneider is breaking news left and right on theinsnyder.com. You're not following this guy, you're missing out. If you're not following Jeff Sneider on his social media, you're really missing out, because you want to watch a fun conversation and watch Jeff Sneider stir the pot. That is the place to do it on X. Watch him stir the pot, baby. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Movie Mance. Follow Perri at either P Nemiroff or Perri Nemiroff. Easy to look for both. And follow Jeff on The In Sneider. Oh, and also Jeff's got his other show with John Roca on John Roca's YouTube channel, The Hot Mic. Okay, moving on to Best Actress in a Limited Series. Jeff Sneider, who was your number one pick?
Bit of an upset pick here. I'm going with Cristin Milioti from The Penguin.
An upset?
I know.
Upset?
I mean, I just thought she was great, and I expect greatness from Colin Farrell. But I'm not sure I saw this performance coming from Cristin Milioti. I mean, it was just so intense and emotional, and I loved what she imbued in that character. So maybe it has something to do with the fact that I haven't seen my number two, Michelle Williams. I haven't seen the FX series. But yeah, I just think Cristin Milioti was great.
All right, Perri, I feel like there's some pushback there on Cristin Milioti, being a surprise.
Yeah, she's not a surprise. She's been my number one for quite a while. Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to discount someone like Michelle Williams' chances, or even my number three, who I won't reveal right now, I guess, to not spoil the episode. But Cristin Milioti has been a pretty firm number one on my personal list in this category for quite some time. I think she deserves it, and clearly at this point, I think she's going to win it.
Oh, okay. I have Cristin Milioti at number three for The Penguin. She is already a SAG nominee and a Golden Globe nominee for The Penguin. But I feel like I'm with both of you. I think she's great in The Penguin. And I'm going to say she was great in the USS Callister episodes of Black Mirror. And you know what? I want to give a shout out to a film that Cristin Milioti was in that came out in June, rather, it dropped on Hulu in June of 2020 while we were in lockdown, living the same day over and over again. That movie is Palm Springs with Andy Samberg. That movie is absolutely flat out brilliant. I think it's still streaming on Hulu. It's a Hulu film. So why would they take it off? If you've not seen Palm Springs, you are missing out, and it's only 30 minutes, and it's brilliant. So Cristin Milioti is my number three pick. Perri, you have her at number one, and Jeff, you have her at number one.
You say Palm Springs is only 30 minutes?
Not 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
30 minutes?
But anyways.
1 hour and 30 minutes.
I think Michelle Williams is the perceived frontrunner here. That's why I called Cristin Milioti an upset. But it's great to hear that Perri has her at number one, too.
Yeah, I think it is a tight race, but I do think that Cristin Milioti has the edge right now.
Okay, here's the thing. All right. Okay. So Michelle Williams in Dying for Sex, I think she's great. I think Jenny Slate, I think they're awesome on that show. I love them on the show. I like the show. But I love them on the show. The show is, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like it's a little, I mean, I don't know. I really don't have anything bad to say about it at all. But I think that the performances are better than the show itself. Michelle Williams is an Emmy winner for Fosse Verdon, and she is a 5-time Oscar nominee. How does Michelle Williams not have an Academy Award when she's been nominated for The Fabelmans, Manchester by the Sea, devastating performance. My Week with Marilyn, she is delightful as Marilyn Monroe in that movie. Blue Valentine, another massively devastating performance with Ryan Gosling, and of course Brokeback Mountain, along with our boy Jake Gyllenhaal. But my number one, talk about a game changer type of pick here. My pick for number one for Best Actress in a Limited Series or TV movie that's part of the category here is two-time Academy Award winner Renée Zellweger. Wait. Renée Zellweger, here's why. Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy. I've loved all of these movies. First one came out in April of 2001. And that, I remember there was so much controversy when she took on the role, but she knocked it out of the park. I felt like Mad About the Boy, the fourth Bridget Jones movie, which went straight to Peacock, which makes it a TV movie, is the best film in the series. It is so profound. It is so poignant. And it says so much about growing up and getting older and priorities changing and relationships changing and grief and moving on that I really, really, really resonated with. So yeah, I'm going to say that this is a heartfelt pick as well, but that movie hit me in unexpected ways with the way that relationships change over the course of time. And, sometimes things just don't work out and it's nobody's fault. But Renée Zellweger was delightful. It was a lived-in performance to me, which is what I think makes her my number one pick. But it could easily be, just because she is a perceived frontrunner in this category, Michelle Williams for Dying for Sex. Here's my number 1, 2, and 3, Renée Zellweger, Michelle Williams, and Cristin Milioti. Do either of you have Renée Zellweger on your list, even after my, getting on the platform and preaching, singing your praises? Hello?
Yes. Yes, I have Renée Zellweger on the list at number 5, though.
Okay, I'll take
it. For just sneaking in over Black Mirror's Rashida Jones.
Yep, she's my number 1 honorable mention. Yeah.
I can't speak to the profundity of Bridget Jones 4 or whatever it is at this point. I don't think I've seen any of the movies, but clearly she is an awards darling. And
yes,
people who love that series.
Yes, I definitely do. Perri, Renée Zellweger, in or out?
My number 1 honorable mention. And admittedly, Mance, your argument there is quite compelling, and it does make me curious to check it out. But I do wonder if it being, what did you say, the 4th installment of this franchise, I wonder if that might work against it. Also, it feels like the movie came and went. Like, I honestly don't know very many people who did watch it. I wonder if that could hurt its case here. But also, it's Renée Zellweger. When she has something that could be considered a contender, you can't count her out. Right now, she is on my honorable mention list, but I don't think having her in this category is a big swing. I do think having her at number 1 is a big swing, but that'll be a conversation we can have further down the line.
Well, first of all, so Perri, you're right. I think there's a couple things that could work against the Bridget Jones movie. One is it's the 4th in the series that goes back to 2001. So it's like, they made these movies like, the second film came out, I think 3 years later than the first one did, but the third one came out many, many years later after the second. Of course, the fourth one was like, there's a fourth one. But here's the thing. It did not go to theaters. It went straight to streaming, straight to Peacock, which could give the perception that the movie just wasn't as good or wasn't good enough to be released in theaters. And that's why it went straight to Peacock. And honestly, that perception is why I went into that film with lower expectations. And that is why the film surprised me on many levels. Again, without getting into it, I think that once you've lived life for better or worse over the years, there's something about the film that you're going to relate to, and there's an honesty to the emotions in the film that I found really relatable, and completely genuine. But never once does Renée Zellweger lose what Bridget Jones is really all about. Anyway, but at the same time, she won 2 Academy Awards, of course, lead actress for Judy 2019 and supporting actress for Cold Mountain way back in 2003. So there's that pedigree. But okay, 2 out of 3. We'll move on with that conversation. Amazing. Perri, Nemiroff, who else is on your list?
My number 3 is another, award season juggernaut. I have to go with Cate Blanchett for Disclaimer. And I do think in this particular category, my top 3, which would be Cristin Milioti, Michelle Williams, and now Cate Blanchett, I think that's like probably a done deal. All 3, without a doubt, are getting nominations. And Blanchett would be the one and only contender from Apple TV Plus. And I just have a hard time imagining this category shaking out in a way where they're not included. So I am locking her in at number 3 right now.
All right. I got her at number 4. She's Cate Blanchett is a 2-time Academy Award winner for 2013's Blue Jasmine, which is phenomenal performance. And she played Katharine Hepburn, 2004's The Aviator, where she won supporting actress. Where is Cate Blanchett for Disclaimer, Apple TV series? Jeff Snyder, on your list.
Number 3, just like Perri. I think that those are the top 3, Milioti, Williams, and Blanchett. I have Zellweger at 5. Mance, what movie is this from? Disclaimer.
Oh, shoot. I don't know. No. What is it?
Good Will Hunting.
Oh, Disclaimer. I like them apples.
Yeah, there you go. Cate Blanchett was terrific on the show. I really thought the show was fantastic up until its last episode. I thought it botched the ending pretty badly. Otherwise, I think we'd be talking about Disclaimer like in the running for all the top awards. But I think she's pretty safe as far as the nomination is concerned. I
have Cate Blanchett at number 4 for reasons both of you pointed out. But Perri, who's left on your list?
So I'll admit, I feel like my top 3 are the ones that I'm confident are locks. And then, I shuffled around my 4 and 5 quite a bit. 1 is probably going to be no surprise because clearly I'm a big Black Mirror fan. I do think one lead from Black Mirror is going to get into this category. And I think Netflix has well shown that they've put their eggs in the Rashida Jones basket. I also think she's phenomenal in that I like the whole season, but I think Common People is probably one of the best of the season. Her and Chris O'Dowd are phenomenal together. And there are some real notable performance feats in there because her performance essentially sells that technology and the believability of it. And I thought she did so beautifully. So she's my number 4. And admittedly, I'm taking a swing on my number 5 because I haven't watched the show yet, but I'm seeing advertisements all over the place. I'm seeing her name pop up on a lot of lists. I'm going with Lola Pettigrew for Say Nothing right now.
Okay.
It keeps it. Honestly, that is probably one of the things that's higher up on my watch list because I'm seeing it everywhere. So I am going to give her the edge right now, but I could be swayed to change that down the line, if not today.
Okay, Jeff, what's left on your list?
Hold on 1 second, Scott. I'm getting an airdrop.
An airdrop? Oh. Okay.
I've got Megan Fahey.
Hey.
From Sirens.
Did you watch Sirens?
No.
Come on.
No. But just like you're taking a swing with Lola Pettigrew,
fair enough.
Who to me, no one's saying anything about, even though, yes, she's on all these critics lists and everything. I have Megan Fahey. I think that she is one of these young actresses who, Hollywood wants to see succeed, wants to turn into a star. And Sirens is getting some buzz. It also came out, in the last few weeks. So it's got that recency bias. I have her at number 4 over Renee.
So Sirens, I was really looking forward to that because I love that trio of leads. And I do think Megan Fahey is one of the best out there right now. She's someone that I follow usually from project to project. Then that show came out. And because I wasn't covering it, I didn't watch it before the release. And it seemed like the response was not that it was negative, but it was like less than glowing. So I bumped it down a couple of notches on my watch list. So I haven't seen it for that reason. And I pulled it off a couple of my prediction lists for that reason too.
My number 5, after this conversation, we're all trying to pick like the right number 5, even though Jeff, you have Renée Zellweger at number 5, you have Sirens at number 4. So Lola Pettigrew, I mean, I'm with you on that, Perry. I felt like Caitlin Dever, because she did 2 great performances this year. One of them obviously on The Last of Us. She's going to get nominated for supporting actress there. But Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix, I think that she could get nominated for that, which would round out my number 5. But I'm taking a couple big swings here in lead actress for a limited series. My other big swing is Amanda Seyfried for Long Bright River, which is streaming on Peacock. And I feel like sometimes when it comes to the shows on Peacock, they've got great stuff. They also have the Bridget Jones movie, and they also have a show that I adore, which is Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne. Excellent, excellent show. If you love shows like Murder, She Wrote and Columbo and McCloud, this show is excellent.
I didn't have McCloud being referenced on this episode on the bingo card.
Yeah, right. No, I bet you didn't. But
I don't think there's any way Peacock is getting 2 nominations here.
Well, again, it's a big swing. I love Amanda Seyfried. She was an Oscar nominee for supporting actress for Mank. She's great on the show. She's just a phenomenal actress. I'll watch anything she does. But
you're going with Caitlin at number 5, right?
I'm going with Caitlin at number 5 for Apple Cider Vinegar.
I just feel like nobody watched that show.
Yeah, that was my concern with that one, is that
terrible title.
Yeah, I mean,
I watched a show called Apple Cider Vinegar.
Well, since Jeff, you and I are both high on the Monsters train there. What about Ari Grainer?
I have her after Rashida. I have her basically at 7.
I think, that she could sort of ride that wave for Monsters with the series getting nominated and with the actors probably not guaranteed, but probably both getting nominated. Ari Grainer has been just a great character actress. She was great in the movie. Remember The Disaster Artist? She's excellent in that film. One of my favorite, if not my favorite movie that she did was a Sundance movie called For a Good Time Call. That movie is excellent. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's high cinema.
All right,
so I haven't thought about that movie in a long, long time.
I love Ari Grainer. I strongly recommend For a Good Time Call. She's like really made her name as an indie actress. Is there a chance that Ari Grainer makes the cut based on the boost for Monsters?
She's my second honorable mention right now. I've got Renée Zellweger and then her.
Jeff?
I have her at 7 as well. So no, I don't think that she is a real threat to be nominated. So we have we all agree on 3, right? Then you and I agree on Renée Zellweger, man.
I can be swayed on Renée Zellweger too. So
I can be swayed on Rashida Jones and taking Megan Fahey off.
I can also be
Black Mirror win.
I can also be swayed on Rashida Jones and Black Mirror. I'm down with that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
All right. I love it. See, this is why
we all go home happy.
Listen, we all go home happy. You know who else goes home happy? Rashida Jones. So there you go. Those are our picks for lead actress in a limited series. Our picks again are Michelle Williams, Dying for Sex, Renée Zellweger, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, Cristin Milioti for The Penguin, Blanchett for Disclaimer, and Rashida Jones for Black Mirror. Those are our picks for lead actor, lead actress in a limited series, TV, movie. Let us know what you think of our predictions in the comment section below. Hit us up on social media. I'm at Movie Mans on TikTok, Twitter, X, Instagram. Hit Perri Nemiroff at Perri Nemiroff or P Nemiroff. Hit Jeff Snyder at The In Snyder on his social media platforms. Subscribe to Jeff's newsletter, theinsnyder.com. Check out Jeff's other show, The Hot Mic, on John Roca's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Perri's channel right here. Once again, while you're with us, scroll down. No, wait, you went too far. Scroll back up. See, there it is. There it is. Hit the subscribe button. There you go. Good. Very good. Thank you for subscribing. And also thank you in advance for sharing FYC on your social media platforms. Don't think anyone else is going to do it. Please support us by taking the initiative and doing it yourself to share FYC on your social media platforms so everyone can discover the greatness of the amazing Perri Nemiroff, the mighty Jeff Snyder, and me, Scott Vance. So thank you so much for watching. We are closing in on the Emmy nominees on July 15th. Cannot wait to see how that all plays out. Join us for the very next episode of FYC. And until next time, all together now, FY.
See you later.
See you later.